Hello and welcome to the Mr. Brushface channel. This is Chatting with Mr. B, and I'm your host, Mr. B, of course. So, we're going to do things a little different, unlike before where it would just be me talking about how things are going with the channel, all 12 followers and such. No, we're going to go in a little bit of a different direction. Instead, we're going to have a guest come on. We're going to hit him with a bunch of questions and see how he does, shall we? Now, help me welcome our first ever guest, Captain Jim Jericho of the Starshatter Universe.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's been a while since last time we talked. Now, of course, how's the family doing?
Oh, they're doing peachy. Thank you for asking. How's your cadets doing?
Well, I could tell you some stories, how some of them are just itching on my last nerves, but more or less, they're alive and they're well. So I guess that's all you can really ask for nowadays, right?
Yeah, yep.
So how are we gonna do this? Are you just gonna hit me with a bunch of questions, or what? I don't know what you're gonna do.
Well, yes, actually, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. I just have a bunch of questions here written up already, pre-selected, and I'm just going to hit you with them, and if you want to answer them, go ahead. If you don't bother. I understand, security and all that good jazz. So, yeah, I guess I'll just start with this first question. How about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
All right. Well, how do you like being an instructor, now that you're no longer in the Greater Fleet? And that also being a follow-up question, do you miss being in the Greater Fleet at all?
Well, actually, that's a pretty good question. Good question to start with, to be honest. I do actually like teaching, very much so. I get to see a bunch of youth. They get to push my buttons and I get to torment them. No, but I really do like teaching. We got to be able to prepare the next generation of defenders and fighters and such for what's out there in the wider expanse of the universe. It ain't all lollipops and gumdrops. And do I miss the Greater Fleet? Yeah, I do, actually. I really do. Sometimes I do request them special missions, and to just get out there and keep my edge. But on the occasion, unlike not long ago, it just happens. We had a bunch of pirates come over, try to raid a civilian carrying shuttlecraft, and we were the closest one. I took a bunch of nubs with me, and we took the fight to them on the vessel. We won. No casualties. It's because they listened. So, yeah. But all in all, I really do miss the Greater Fleet from time to time. Do I miss the hell and heartache that it brings, though? Nope. But do I miss the excitement? Yeah, I do. Everything's a lot quieter now.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, sounds like that last little bit, what with the shuttlecraft and all, seemed pretty exciting. Do you mind expanding upon that a little bit? I'm sure some of our viewers might be a little interested as to what went down. You said a bunch of pirates went in and just started attacking this civilian shuttle, and then you attacked them, on the shuttle, right? Or did you attack them on their vessel? I just want to clarify.
No, what we did is we went ahead and we went and boarded the shuttle itself. They were right next to it. They'd gone side by side, boarding in them and such. And what we did is we counterboarded on the other side of the craft. We couldn't get onto the pirate vessel itself. That's where its gun placements were at, so it was just safer to approach from the shuttle side. And once we docked on, it was just, I don't know, what would you some people would say, no, well, at least with some of the nubs, he ended up yelling "game on" or whatever the hell that was supposed to mean. Anyways, yeah, so we docked on the other side and we just started attacking them outright before they knew what was really happening. And of course, what we ended up doing was we went to some of the corridors and we started narrowing it down or locking them up so they couldn't advance or do nothing. And it was a bit of a stalemate for a long time. So what I did was I instructed my most capable nub to go out the airlock and around the other side. And take a couple of others with them. That's what they did, and they managed to actually catch them on the other side. They attacked them from their own corridor through another hatch of the hull, and like a maintenance hatch, I believe. Little fuzzy because I wasn't there in specifics. I just read the reports, but I was my adrenaline was still pumping, and. Well, they attacked from the other side, caught them off guard, and broke up one of their blockades, which permitted us to pretty much advance right on top of them and kill them to the man. What we did after with the vessel is we ended up boarding that. We took that, and then we sold it for scrap. So we made some good money for the university there, and some accolades. So win-win. Win. It's a good day. It was a good day. Now, I did have prior engagements, but had to unfortunately cancel that. But that's not really important to the story, I guess.
No, wow. That's actually pretty amazing, to be honest. I mean, you might hear of a story or two of something happening, but you never really get the tale from someone who is legitimately there. Half the time it's the other person or like three people down from the source, and by that time it's like a bad game of radio. And
oh god, yeah, I know that.
But yeah, so okay, wow, that was that's actually quite interesting. But I guess to continue on with the questioning, if you don't mind.
Not at all. Continue, please.
All right. Well, this next one is how many students do you typically take on per class, and about how long are the courses roughly? Of course, if you don't mind asking.
Well, okay. Now, well, I can answer part of that, and I can't answer all of it, of course.
Okay.
So. How many students per class? That part I can't ask, and it varies depending on the size that I have at the moment. Normally I have anywhere between 6 and 15. 15's a little bit max out on my what I can handle of a bunch of newbies running around and then trying to corral them like a bunch of cats. And then of course 6 is the most the most optimal I can carry, and really not waste time to be I guess you could say. Anything less than that and it's just almost not even worth it. But let's see, as for the length, well, I can tell you this much. It depends upon how well they're grasping the material. If they're having a hard time really not grasping it, I gotta give them a little bit more time to try to understand and develop them skills. And if they just don't, well, then they're washed out. But the typical amount of time I really can't say, to be honest, because it varies, and it is a little confidential. Should the any of the enemies out there, adversaries, figure out whenever we have a class, they can estimate when those classes will be done and such, and it just can't do that. It's for security sake purposes only, actually.
All right.
Can't go into detail, but yep, so that's just where I'm gonna have to leave it off. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Hey, I understand quite well. If it's confidential, then it's confidential, hey, safety, security, it all matters. So,
Yep.
all right, yeah, we'll just leave that where it's at. I guess that's pretty much all the questions that I had preset.
Okay.
Just a couple to kind of get things rolling. But I do have a few questions from a handful, a small handful of listeners and viewers and such of, I guess you could say, our channel. And yeah, so I have one. This is from Where Woman, and she asks, which series has the best physics? Now, I guess context in this is she's a Star Trek fan, a big Star Trek fan, the older material. So I'm wondering if she's asking which Star Trek series had the best physics
Oh,
that you
jeez.
I don't know if you have anything for that, but
Uh,
good luck.
Okay, well, interesting question. I would have figured it would have been something about something else. Well, let's see. Uh, which one? I do recall the old stuff, and Next Generation was something that I had actually enjoyed. Uh, I mean, it's not of the reality of things, that's for dang sure. And everyone's all hunky dory and pretty much, for the most part, all happy, joy, joy, out in space, and that ain't reality. But I mean, I guess I'd have to say Next Generation probably had the better physics of everything else. But then again, it's all just acting, so I don't put a whole lot of stock into it. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to say Next Generation because I just do not know how to answer that question. Um, yeah. So what's your next question? I guess.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I thought about it myself, and I was like, yeah, I'm a little lost myself. So, yeah, all right. Well, let's just move on. The next one's from Arigmar, and Arigmar asks, let me get this in front of the mic. What do you, with your decades of experience as a starfighter pilot, would better use in a dogfight? Dumbfire rockets or long-range lock-on missiles?
Okay, now this actually is more up my alley. So it depends upon what it is what atmosphere you're in. Now, if you're out in space, lock-on missiles are good, but they're gonna have counters to those, and more or less, they're gonna be able to jam them or just knock them out of the sky. Um, and if they don't have any kind of stealth tech or anything to them, then you just don't bother. For space, would definitely have to be dumbfire. In how I like to use them is into a nice big open spread, kind of like a big old shotgun, and you just fire it, boom, all of them scatter on out, and it forces your enemy, when they're in a bit of a tight formation, to scatter. And once they scatter, then you got your pickings. You can go, oh, that one's going to be first, that one's second, and then that one's third, and just pick them off as such. When they're in a pretty tight group, they're and they don't scatter, they hold pretty well. But if you get them to scatter, by using some techniques such as that, yeah, you can knock them out with a relative ease. Of course, if they don't scatter and everything else, then they're going to get hit by the rockets and they get knocked out. Now, as for the when you're in atmosphere, I would actually use the lock-on long-range missiles. Usually for kind of a shock and awe effect when I'm flying an interceptor. I would just lock on range, fire one, and probably pick one or two out of the entire group, a cluster of fighters, and then let them know, just basically, hey, someone's here to kill you. And you watch them just kind of, again, scatter and in fear, and you start picking them off one by one. But if they know you're there, then they can usually use their countermeasures.
Makes
But
sense.
so yeah, for space, I typically like to use dumbfires, and then for atmosphere, I like to use lock-ons for maximum range sort of effect. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good question. Thank you for that.
No, yeah, no, yeah. Thanks, Erigmar, for that one. No, that was actually kind of interesting. Never would have thought of the diversity in which you can actually utilize them. I always think like dump fires. You know, you're just going to be scattering them on the ground and everything else, and take out like infantry and stuff.
Yep,
But
yep.
space combat, you know, shotgunning kind of thing. That's a new one to me. But,
Oh, good.
okay, yeah, no, cool.
Good.
And then I actually have one last person here asking questions and such, but they got 3 questions here for you. So,
Okay.
so hold on to this one. This one's from Adeptus Azul,
Oh,
and
techie.
okay, I can't pronounce this one as Stratogatic. I'm guessing he means strategic armor or power armor. Which do you prefer? Not sure exactly where he's going with this, but yeah, what do you got for that one?
All right. Well, I mean, if you're a ground pounder and stuff, you're gonna want to go with something a bit heavy and stuff. And I guess you would say power armor. You know, you can armor that's powered. You know, it's gonna be heavy, way and heavier, and everything else is gonna be thicker armor and such. I mean, that makes sense for a ground pounder, but as a pilot, you don't really wear armor, to be honest. But if I had to prefer the two, I'm guessing strategic in a sense. It'd be lighter weight material, smaller, placed over, you know, your vitals and such. But I mean, power armor, it just won't fit in the cockpit. Sorry. So I guess I'd have to go with a smaller, slimmer material. But for the most part, when I'm out there, I don't even wear armor. To be honest, I just go out there and I just don't die. But yeah, I mean, sorry. I wish I could actually tell you something a little bit more on that one. But yeah, I mean, sorry. That's pretty much, I guess, where I'm just gonna have to go with is just strategic armor, personally. But again, if it was to be a survivability situation and everything else, and I was on the ground, I would have to go with the power armor. But seeing how that ain't the case, I'd have to go with the strategic armor. So that's my final answer.
Okay, no, fair enough. I wouldn't know too much about it myself. I mean, the only thing I know about power armor and everything else is was it Fallout video games and Warhammer 40K series and such. But yeah, beyond that, I wouldn't actually know. So, all right. Well, he has his second question is: have you ever worked with an Asgardian? And if not, what is your personal opinion of them?
Well, okay. Asgardians. Wow. All right. Well, no, I've never worked with an Asgardian before, and I really honestly do not have an opinion of them. Seeing how I've never worked around them or ever even met one, to be honest, that I can recall. I know you should be able to pin them out of a crowd, but honestly, I just been out in the greater spans. I don't think I've ever ran across one before. So I don't really have an opinion of them, but from what I hear, they're pretty boring bunch. But yeah, sorry, I just don't have anything on that one. I just don't have an opinion. You know, if you don't got anything good to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't have anything to say, just don't say anything at all either, I guess. So there you have it. I got nothing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I guess we can't be expected to come across such beings on the regular and such. All right. Well, just gonna move on to the very. Oh my gosh. Seriously, very final question. Okay. And this is the very last question here that we're gonna ask. I think this is where we're gonna end it. Is PewDiePie or T-Series? Sorry if you don't understand. But yeah, that's the final question. PewDiePie or T-Series? Which one do you prefer?
No, really? Oh, so this is where it all ends, huh? This last question. this is gonna be the last question. Are you serious, people? This is what you're gonna ask me? Like, you can ask me anything, and this is what you're gonna ask me. Of course it's gonna be PewDiePie. Of course it's gonna be PewDiePie. Why would I ever vote for, go and support something as, ambiguous as a T-series? Sounds like a disease, from, what was it? What was that one zombie apocalypse type movie and video game? Resident Evil. Sounds like something from Resident Evil. Maybe that's the point. Maybe they're all just dead inside. But no, I would vote, put my lot in with PewDiePie. Hell of a name though, but yep, that's the one I'd go with. So that's my answer. Now I'm sticking to it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And yeah, since that's it, wow. Oh, okay. Some interesting things to learn about what you're doing out there and everything else. Of course, I apologize for some of those questions.
No worry
All
about
in all,
it.
though, thank you for coming. It's been enlightening, to say the very least.
No, well, no, thank you for having me. It is a treat. I do get to take a break from all the nubs and stuff and do something a little bit different. I do appreciate that very much. So thank you for having me.
No, not at all. Yeah, and again, thank you for coming. So I guess that's where we're going to end it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. And we may do this again sometime in the future. Not sure. This is just going to be our test trial of this little segment. And if you like it, let us know. And if you don't, again, let us know. Please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. All right? Well, thank you very much for, again, coming. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. And farewell.